So y'all remember SpinTires, right? The original SpinTires. Well, apparently they're getting another new map and a new vehicle. And it's not just any new vehicle, it's a SHERP. And I'm going to be diving into not only why that's significant, but I'm also going to be sort of trying to dig up some information on what this new map could possibly be like, because as much as I prefer SnowRunner to the old SpinTires, this map could have promise, especially when used with this vehicle. Now, some of you may have seen this announcement when it was first released and may be thinking to yourselves, why are you covering this now? This is old news. Well, normally I would think the same thing. However, ever since they made the announcement back on the 24th of last month, they haven't really said anything on this topic ever since then, and that's why I've been inclined to dig into the subject a little bit. Now, the DLC in question, I'll read you guys off some of the sort of main points here, and basically they've said they have the officially licensed SHERP Ural Challenge DLC coming soon, quote-unquote, for SpinTires the original game, featuring the SHERP 4x4 ATV and SHERP the ARC 10x10 ATV. Now, both of those are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if you've never seen these things before, I'll put the normal SHERP on the screen right now, and then I'll put the ARC on the screen right now. Now, the ARC is, of course, the more physically impressive of the two and the most physically imposing of the two. However, I'm also very intrigued by the regular SHERP 4x4 and how it's going to perform. Now, interestingly, if you go back to their original post on Steam, they've said that they are going to be releasing more. This was back on the 24th again when they announced this. They said within the coming weeks, they would be announcing more details soon, and they have said it is arriving in July. Now, as of the day of posting this video, we're about halfway through July, and they haven't really said anything. Now, they did release patch V1.5.1 on June 25th, and it was basically a small update, like with some patches and some fixes and stuff like that. The improvements, for example, where the B80 was more exhaust smoke, B80 front and rear suspension tweaks, and tweaks to the steering speed across all DLC vehicles. And then they had a couple of other small fixes here and there, so that wasn't really that big of a deal. But it could have been paving the way for the next map that they have in store, which is supposed to be coming with this SHERP DLC. Now, I'm about to butcher the absolute crap out of this name, and so I'm honestly not even gonna say it, but because I feel like I'm absolutely gonna, butcher the pronunciation of it. But basically, it's going to be based around a national park within the Ural Mountains. And I've actually got a picture right here that should kind of give an idea of what this environment could look like. Now, while this doesn't give us very much to go off of, it does sort of allude to the fact that there could be some really high mountains, but also some plain regions and some fairly open areas as well without that many trees. And in some ways, that could be really interesting if they do it right, but it could also be really bland and boring if they do it wrong, and I'm really hoping that it's not bland and boring, because it's going to take a lot to bring people back to the original SpinTires. I mean, there are still some dedicated people that are playing the original SpinTires, like, for example, people that didn't like MudRunner and didn't like SnowRunner, and were, like, very, very, very specific on sticking with the original SpinTires, as they kind of believe that the original SpinTires is the only, like, quote-unquote, like, pure expression of this game. But at the same time, I feel like there have been so many user interface improvements, so many graphical improvements, and so many physics improvements over the course of MudRunner and SnowRunner, especially if you go from playing SnowRunner all the way back to the original SpinTires and then go back to SnowRunner. You're like, oh, so this is where these are all the advancements we made. And I gotta tell you, I don't know if a new map and even something as cool as a SHERP could bring me back to the original SpinTires game. And I mean, of course, I'll still play it. I'll still play through the map. I'll still bring you guys content on the SHERP itself. However, it just feels clunky. And when I go back and I play it, one of the biggest things that that struck me as like, wow, I didn't remember how kind of bad that felt was the camera. I mean, the camera just absolutely is compared to the camera in Mud Runner and especially Snow Runner, the camera in the original SpinTires is so clunky and so awkward to use and so weird because the acceleration on it, when you move the camera, the acceleration goes from like 0 to like 500 and then back to 0 again before you even, like, the sensitivity is just weird. It's so weird, and honestly, the best way I can describe the sensitivity of the camera in the original SpinTires after playing Snow Runner is, it's whack, dude. It's really freaking whack, and I don't know how to better explain that other than just telling you guys straight up that it's freaking weird, and I don't know how to best put that into words. Now, another aspect of their announcement that I really wanted to touch on because it describes the possibility of some new features is as follows. Now, they've said that the SHERP Ural Challenge for SpinTires, blah, 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 will feature the SHERP 4x4 ATV and the SHERP ARC 10x10 ATV, and it's interesting because they've said to portray the SHERP ATV's abilities in SpinTires as best we can, we've added a bunch of new functionality to the game, including amphibious vehicle support, but stay tuned over the coming weeks to learn more about this DLC, and blah, blah, blah. Now, when they say amphibious vehicle support, I'm assuming that they mean basically they're adding the functionality of it being able to float because, as we all know, well, maybe as we don't all know, but if you've watched videos of the SHERP, they're very proud of the fact that it can float in real life. They're very proud of the fact that you could basically drive it into the water and just about use it as a boat. I mean, if you watch any of their demonstration videos, they really make sure to drive home the fact that you can just drive it into a lake or drive it into a swamp and it'll just keep going because it's got these giant, you know, basically huge balloon tires with paddles on them, and they sort of look like sand tires, but when you realize what they're actually for, they're basically for basically tugging its way through the water, and sort of they almost like shovel water backwards to the degree that it actually is able to provide propulsion for this thing. So I think that obviously they're suggesting that that's something that you'll be able to do within the functionality of this new DLC, and I'm curious to see how they make it work because I feel like it's definitely an untapped part of this game. However, again, I don't know if it's something that's going to make people go, "Oh my God, I need to put my copy of Snow Runner down and run right back to SpinTires the original." And I don't know. It's a weird thing where it's like, I'm so torn because I'm so excited about them adding new things, but I wish all these new things were in Snow Runner and not SpinTires the original because, in my opinion, Snow Runner's functionality is just that much better. But in closing for that topic, I know I've kind of talked about that same thing over and over of, man, I really think these are cool features, but I really wish they were in Snow Runner. Let's finish up with some final thoughts. So how do we feel? Well, I'm kind of still torn, and I don't know how to feel about it. I was gonna prepare some actual, like, final closing thoughts, and then I threw them all out because I'm still so incredibly bothered about the fact that, like, why are we not just putting this crap in Snow Runner? It's very frustrating. And again, I had closing thoughts, and then I was like, you know what? No. I want to actually, like, properly freaking speak my mind on this, and I don't know. I feel like they either need to update the crap out of this game's interface and bring it into the modern era, or they need to release these things in SnowRunner. I know I'm going back and forth a whole bunch here, but it's actually kind of frustrating when you think about it, because you get all these cool features, like, you know, the SHERP and everything, and you're like, man, but I don't want to have to go back and play the original SpinTires to do it, because I'd rather play SnowRunner. And I'm sure there's going to be some, like, original SpinTires purist out there in the comments that's going to be like, what do you mean? The original SpinTires is better. You don't know what you're talking about. And you can't off-road to save your life. And you've never been off-road anyway. And yeah, I get that. But at the same time, when I really do think about it, at the end of the day, I'm like, man, I just wish that these things were coming to SnowRunner sometimes. And I get that SnowRunner is getting updates of its own, and it's about to get a whole new phase, and sometimes I get a little animated about these topics, but I think that that's just something that happens when you're passionate about this game series, and you see things happening where you're like, man, that is so cool, but I wish it was happening over here instead of over there, if that makes any sense to you guys. Now, I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on this whole topic in the comment section down below. If you would leave your thoughts down there, I would be super happy to talk to you guys about everything related to this and everything related to this DLC. And let me know if you're going to get it. Let me know if you're going to play it. Let me know if you're even interested in the original SpinTires in any way, even if they do bring back some crazy new vehicles. Like, is that going to be enough for you to play it again? Or are you still like, nah, I don't really care for the old game. I'd much rather play SnowRunner. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and found it at all informative or interesting or entertaining, then do consider hitting that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to y'all later.